Go.
Thank you. Welcome back, and thanks for coming back. We're now going to be on point 7 of chapter 11, the Treasure Tower chapter, going on to page 91. Okay, but what we just left off of is the record of the only transmitted teaching says the treasure purity world is the wombs of our mothers. There was a Buddha refers to the Buddha of the true aspect of all phenomena, which is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Here he is called many treasures Buddha. The womb of the realm of is the realm of earthly desires. The Buddha of the true aspect of reality resides in the midst of the mud and mire of earthly desires, because we always come back to the world of desire. This refers to us living beings. Now, when Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, they may be termed the Buddha of the lotus, that is the entity of the law. That is the entity of the law. That means that you are a Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, thus come one. You are the Buddha just like you are. You're doing what I'm doing. Okay? Okay, point 7 on the bottom of page 91 now. On the passage, if after I have become, and you can look at all this. Point 7, on the passage, if after I have become a Buddha and entered extinction in the lands of the 10 directions, there is any place where the Lotus Sutra is preached, then my funerary tower, in order that I may listen to the sutra, will come forth and appear in that spot to testify the sutra and praise its excellence, okay? And so that's obviously many treasures making that statement from inside the tower, right? Will come forth and appear, he says, all right? Continuing on page 92. The record of the orally transmitted teaching says the words 10 directions, which are in here, in the lands of the 10 directions, okay. 10 directions refer to the 10 worlds. The Lotus Sutra explains the 12-link chain of causation. That's the creation of karma, all right? And determines that unceasing change and determines the unceasing changes that we living beings undergo. Therefore, the words Lotus Sutra refer to the sound of our words, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. The words excellence tell us that excellence and non-excellence, good and bad, are not two different things, and the correct and incorrect is a single entity. It's only because they are both sides of a coin that we can flip that coin from bad to good or from incorrect to correct. Okay? We couldn't go find another me, another mind. That's because they're the same thing. So there's no one that's too evil. On the other side of your coin is goodness. There's nobody too incorrect. On the other side of your coin is correctness. You just have to manifest the wisdom to perceive the truth. The truth is just written for you to understand if you'll apply yourself with faith and by chanting Daimoku to be able to perceive it correctly. Now, continuing, the point 7. Now the place, page 92. Now the place where Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo may be said to be the place where Buddha many treasures comes forth and makes his appearance. Now, the place where Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, so me right here, right now, may be said to be where the Buddha many treasures comes forth. It comes forth from me. It comes forth from the mouths of the living beings propagating the law. Okay? So, I'll go on now to point 8. Do you understand? Okay, so that's why he's going to tell you many treasures is in your, and Shakyamuni are both in your own mind. Point 8. Regarding the way in which the Buddha emitted a ray of light from the tuft of white hair between his eyebrows to illuminate the eastern region, how it illuminated the southern, western, and northern regions as well, in terms of the whole Dharma realm, and in the 4 immediate quarters and up and down. So in the 4, okay, so he's going to explain on that. The record of the orally transmitted teaching says the 4 quarters is on 92 in the middle. The 4 quarters, north, south, east, and west. The 4 intermediate quarters, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, and up and down. That's what constitutes the 10 directions, okay? Everything, everywhere in the Dharma realm, it can be described from one of those, it being, in one of those directions. Do you understand? Which are equivalent to the 10 worlds. Okay. The 4 quarters, north, south, east, and west, the 4 intermediate quarters, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, and up and down, constitute the 10 directions. So he's always saying about the Buddhas of the 10 directions. That means wherever else they may be manifest, the Buddhas that are manifest. Okay? So now he's saying which are equivalent to the 10 worlds. All right? This is the basis of how we came up with Ichen and Sansa, and this is the basis of predication of Chentai's whole teaching, all right? The living beings, okay, the living beings of the 10 worlds, which is the Dharma realm that we are actually living here in the Sahe world, the living beings of the 10 worlds all share the light of the 3 poisons of greed, anger, and foolishness. So what he's qualifying there is that all living beings share greed, anger, and foolishness, the 3 poisons. Okay, so we're eternally endowed with the 3 poisons. The 3 poisons are what allow us to manifest behavior that ultimately ends up bringing people back to the prime point of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Okay, this is because again, you can't, if you don't have greed, you're not going to understand greedy people or the sense of greed or the desire for things, okay? If you don't have anger, how can you ever understand somebody that has a passionate spirit or is contemptible? Okay, how can you have compassion for them then? And foolishness is always the arrogance of thinking you know what you don't know. Okay? This is here referred to as the light from the tuft of white hair between the Buddha's eyebrows. It is the wisdom embodied in a single mind of the middle way. Okay, so what's the middle way? The temporary existence is the single mind of the middle way. So all Buddhas that are manifest in the phenomenal realm. Okay. So they all share this consciousness. Buddha wisdom is Buddha wisdom. There's not Buddha grade A, grade triple A, anything like that. It's not encumbered with levels. Okay, if you fought hard enough to get to Buddhahood, there should be nothing that's held back. You should have access to all things. Okay, and that's what he's saying. It is the wisdom embodied in the single mind of the middle way. What is? It's the light tuft from the middle of his eyebrows, right? And what is that really? Greed, anger, and foolishness, qualifying that all living beings are endowed with this same hiccup. There's nothing that doesn't have greed, anger, and foolishness as part of its makeup. Now when Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, they are shining this light, like the light that came from the middle of his forehead, on. Okay, they are shining the light upon all the 10 worlds simultaneously. So once again, he's trying to get out of your head that you've got in your mind some process of graduation, that somebody that's a heavenly being is better than somebody that's in the world of hell, or somebody that's a cause awakened one is better than a voice hearer. No, it's all Buddha or it's delusion. It's one of the two. It's either the 10th world or the other 9, and the other 9 are all filled with the delusion of thinking you know what you don't know. They're all filled with greed, anger, and foolishness. Okay? This is because the bright light of the true aspect of phenomena. What's the bright light of the true aspect of phenomena? It says all of this is because of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Okay? Point 9 on the bottom of page 92, on the words, each Buddha presented his attendant with a handful of jeweled flowers. In the passage, at this time, each seated on a lion seat under one of the jeweled trees, all dispatched their attendants to go and greet Shakyamuni Buddha. Each Buddha presented his attendant with a handful of jeweled flowers. The record of the orally transmitted teaching says on top of page 93, the words jeweled flowers represent the greeting of palms pressed together, gasho, and symbolize the principle of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. Now, again, that principle is that the Buddha nature exists in all the 10 worlds, okay? So from hell all the way to Bodhisattva and Buddha, obviously, all contain this original state of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. The record of the orally transmitted teaching says the word jewel flowers represent the greeting of palms pressed together and symbolize the principle of the 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, represent Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. The word each indicates that all the 10 worlds are included, which again, every other religion, you got bad people. There's no such thing as there's no difference between bad and good. There's no difference between correct and incorrect. They are a single entity. Everybody can flip anything. They can flip anything. They can even flip back. They can go from good to bad. It's what they do, okay? What path are they on, okay? So the word each indicates that all the 10 worlds are included. Us evil persons are covered as well, okay? I love this. This is what made me love this teaching so much. Nothing that I could read excluded me, ever, regardless of what I had heard everybody else say about me, okay? As far as the teaching was concerned, my faith was profound, and my resolve to do Kosen Rufu as a bodhisattva of the earth in gratitude for finding this teaching is what's motivated me for these I'm in my 53rd year now. All right, so the record of the orally transmitted teaching says the words jeweled flowers represent a greeting of palms pressed together, gasha, and symbolize the principle of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. The word each indicate that all 10 worlds are included. You should understand that the element full in the word handful means the full or perfect principle of the 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. That even hell, it's all contained. That's why it's called perfect and full. It's referring to the fact that nothing is excluded in this teaching of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo as it's revealed by the Daishonin. Okay, with the element of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, all the theoretical aspects of Shakyamuni's teachings all become manifest in the Sahe world, in the present moment. You can experience them yourselves. They're not stories about people from 1,000 years ago or whatever. It's a story of you. Now when Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, continue on page 93, they are presenting jeweled flowers to the Buddha, because we're all saying we have belief and understanding in the truth that you've shared. Thank you so much. Here's every treasure I can bestow upon you. Thank you so much. This is the jeweled flowers are wish-granting jewels. That's where we go. Now Nichiren and his followers chant, they are presenting jeweled flowers to the Buddha. The jeweled flowers are wish-granting jewels, okay? So they're not flowers in the sake of a bouquet of organic things. They're the wish-granting jewels, and the wish-granting jewels stand for the principle of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, because as a Buddha, we can make anything manifest that we want to. We don't have to be given a gift. We have the gift of never needing a gift, okay? This is what is meant by the passage, the heavenly beings, dragons, spirits, and the others, as well as the world-turning sage kings come from 10,000 millions of lands, all press their palms and with reverent minds wish to hear the teaching of perfect enlightenment. They all wish to hear about the teaching that hidden in the depths lies Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. That's from the Expedient Means chapter. Point 10, on the words like the sound of a lock and bar being removed from the great city gate. In the passage, Shakyamuni Buddha, with the fingers of his right hand, then opened the door of the Tower of Seven Treasures. A loud sound issued from it, like the sound of a lock and crossbar being removed from a great city gate. The supplement on Tentai's Three Major Works, Volume 4, says the opening of the treasure tower and the appearance of the Buddha mini treasures is symbolizing something. If we ask what it is, we may say that the opening of the tower is the opening up or setting aside of the provisional teachings, the expedient means that precede this teaching of the Lotus Sutra. And the appearance of the Buddha is the appearance or revelation of the true teaching. Okay? Again, it symbolizes the fact that the earlier theoretical teaching has been affirmed, and now the teaching that comes after the theoretical teaching, the essential teaching, okay, which leads to the true essential teaching of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. The last 14 chapters is what sets up Nichiren's understanding and bringing forth. I mean, the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo comes from the lifespan chapter, is about to be presented. Okay, is about to be presented. He's about to discuss the lifespan chapter in these next few chapters. Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, hidden in the depths, is going to be there. We're past the first 14 chapters as it relates to like the him talk. The ceremony in the air is what separates all this. Okay, so the ceremony in the air has started with the appearance of many treasures and the treasure tower. Okay, so now we're into something that's actually all preparatory. Remember how I said there's 5 and there's 5 and there's 5? Okay, so this is preparation right now for what's going to be revealed in chapter 16. Okay, so is about to be presented in the phrase like the sound of a lock and crossbar being removed. The word removed means to clear away. We've cleared away the confusion of the provisional theoretical teachings, and now we're listening to and preparing our minds for the fact that the truth is going to be revealed. It just said a minute ago, all of these dudes from all over the universe came just to hear, with their hands pressed together, I want to hear the Lotus Sutra of the Wonderful Law. Okay, so that's what we're doing here, and that's what okay. The word removed means to clear away. We've cleared away the confusion of the provisional teachings. And now we're, from faith in what the Buddha is saying, we're embracing the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra, which is the last 14 chapters, but is also the basis of that the true essential teaching. Don't forget, the Lotus Sutra loses its power in the 5th 500-year period after the Buddha's passing. Okay, it's only really utilized for the former and the middle day of the law. Mappo, the 10,000 years and beyond that occurs after that, goes on and on. That's the time for Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. That's when Kosen Rufu can occur. So again, the essential teaching is about to be presented, okay, in chapters 15 and on, all right, is about to be presented. In the phrase, like the sound of a lock and crossbar being removed, the word removed means to clear away the confusion between the theoretical teaching and what's being revealed now, or about to be revealed now, in the essential teaching. The passage symbolizes the fact that the obstacles to enlightenment, which is delusion and slander, have been cleared away, and the workings of enlightenment have been set in motion. That's why you're on the track to go be able to ultimately hang long enough to hear chapter 16. In this time, you know, it's the last half of chapter 15, all of chapter 16, and the first half of chapter 17. That's the one chapter in the 2 halves that we're actually going to reveal all of this hidden stuff, okay? All right, in the phrase like, the passage symbolizes the fact that the obstacles to enlightenment have been cleared away and the workings of enlightenment have been set in motion. The bodhisattva of the Dharma body, okay, so who's that? Us. Each of us is a bodhisattva of the Dharma body, right? Okay, is dispelling perplexities and revealing the principle. So in other words, we get rid of our doubts and we express through our practice and our benefit, we reveal the principle of the the true nature of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which is the original, it's the simultaneity of cause and effect. You can chant and make things happen. You can reveal something that helps other people regardless of who they are. There is no distinction between anything that's alive. There's no distinction between those things that have mind and do not have mind. There's no difference between the environment and the realm of the living beings. Okay? It's the grand unification of everything without a different story for each one. Okay? So he says, the bodhisattva of the Dharma body, which is each of us that chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, that's what makes us bodhisattvas of the Dharma body, is dispelling perplexities. We're getting more and more clear about the teaching, more and more doubt-free about our faith, and widening his understanding of the way, doing study, perceiving the reality of that surrounds their lives as they practice and chant Daimoku, seeing manifest effect from the cause of their Daimoku, okay? And in that process, once you believe all this, you've eliminated all the remaining, and reducing his still remaining illusions. In other words, he's preparing his life through his own actions and activities to be ready and actually be able to manifest the sixth stage. It's not an embarrassment. It's not superficial. It's not theoretical. It's real. That's who he is. That's how he rides. Okay? So, the record of the orally transmitted teaching says the lock and crossbar represent slanders of the law or ignorance. The opening of the great city gate represents the fact that we can attain Buddhahood. That's no longer something that would occur someday down the road. That's something that we can do in our present form. The great city gate is the two elements of body and mind that we possess. Our body and mind, okay? The great city is the element of body, and the gate is the mouth. Now when Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, they are clearing away the obstacles of illusions posed by ignorance to reveal Shakyamuni Buddha and many treasures who reside in our own minds. Now, this is where he says Shakyamuni and many treasures are part of our Buddha nature. Okay? All Buddhas throughout the three existences, the three existences and the 10 directions and the three existences all share the same mind. Okay? So, of course, Shakyamuni and many treasures are there. So is Nichiren. So are all the Buddhas that have ever existed at this point in time. Okay, everything that's in a state of non-substantiality that had attained enlightenment to the truth resides in non-substantiality in the ninth consciousness. So all the Buddhas hang together. All right, the lock and crossbar represents ignorance. The opening stands for the Dharma nature, the opening up of our Buddha nature. The crossbar is the single word myo, or wonderful. Tentai says in his profound meaning, the secret inner storehouse is open. The secret inner storehouse, the Buddha nature that has always been there, okay, that we didn't know was there, that could not be revealed until we were expressly guided to it, okay? This may be termed myo or wonderful. You should understand, therefore, that this one word myo is the crossbar. It's mystic. How this occurs and unlocks and why you don't understand. Why did you take faith and the other people don't? You don't understand. It's a mystery. This passage of the sutra is showing us how the lock and crossbar of slander of the law, which we cannot perceive in others, and the lack of faith are removed from us to open up or reveal. Open up or reveal, same thing, the Buddha of our own minds. The Buddha of our own minds. As was said in an earlier passage, the Buddhas, plural, wish to open the door of the Buddha wisdom to all living beings. Chapter 2, expedient means you should think about this. Okay, so that's the whole point. If we attain Buddhahood in our present form chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we will be obligated to share this wisdom with all living beings. So you should think about this. This means you're a badass. This means you have a mission. You have a job to do. You made a promise. You better fulfill it. Okay, you don't want to become a slanderer of the law person. Of course, you can't if you're already the Buddha. You'll be the Buddha in every lifetime, regardless of what you experience, because of the karma you make in your nine-world existence. Point 11. On the passage, immediately Shakyamuni Buddha used his transcendental powers to lift all the members of the Great Assembly up into the air. So not only has this treasure tower that's as big as a third of the earth appeared, and all this stuff has been going on, but now, so that everybody can be at the same level as many treasures, and Shakyamuni, who is seated next to him, he elevates them all the way up. So I hope nobody has like height issues, like afraid to be way up high, because they're way up high. All right. Point 11 on the passage, immediately Shakyamuni used his transcendental powers to lift all the members of the Great Assembly up into the air. The record of the orally transmitted teaching says at the bottom of page 94, the Great Assembly is the throng of listeners. All the members of the Great Assembly, the Great Assembly is the throng of listeners. All the members of the Great Assembly up into the air represents the state of our existence after death. Everybody goes into that same state of non-substantiality, right? But do you go to the ninth consciousness or something below that? Okay, do you get to keep your consciousness? That's, again, a question that I can't answer. Now, when Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, but if you experience joy, I would imagine you have to be able to experience something in the ninth consciousness. Now, when Nichiren and his followers chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, they are realizing that the sufferings of birth and death are none other than nirvana. They understand that this life of mine is the only reason that I can attain the way and have this feeling and wisdom. Okay? A state that is described in the phrase, all up in the air. We are thus subsumed under the heading of, for those whom the sufferings of birth and death are none other than nirvana. Because we do anything, go through anything to manifest back into the Sahe world so that we can share and help other people, other living beings. The earth represents the element of the body, while the air represents the element of the mind. But we should understand that body and mind are not two different things. Hence, the air represents the land of eternally tranquil light, the Buddha land. The Buddha nature of the land can become manifest with the causality of its inhabitants. So he's saying the mind and body are not two different entities. Hence, the air represents the land of eternally tranquil light. Again, we may say that in terms of Myoho Renge Kyo, the air represents Renge, the lotus. Earth represents Kyo, the teaching or the manifested reality as it exists in the nine worlds. And heaven represents Myoho, the mystic law that allows us to escape that suffering of the nine worlds and engage the 10th world from being potential to a reality. The air is what exists in the middle between heaven and earth. Among all the living beings, there will be bodhisattvas who sit in the lotus seat. That will sit in the lotus seat. Between heaven, among all the living beings, there will be bodhisattvas who sit in the lotus seat, who attain the way. This is what is expressed in the words Myoho Renge Kyo. They wouldn't be there if there wasn't going to be a responsiveness to Myoho Renge Kyo by the people that have made the cause for that to be the case. Because everything only happens because you've made the cause for it to be the case. Everything happens because of you. It doesn't happen because of some source of power outside of you. You have to transform you. You know, nothing else is going to transform you but your own mind and your own body and your own behavior. Okay? So hence the Devadatta chapter. So he's talking now, okay, let's go back to evil people again. I love it. Hence the Devadatta chapter of the Lotus Sutra says, in future ages, if there are good men or good women who, on hearing the Devadatta chapter of the Lotus Sutra of the Wonderful Law, believe and revere it with their pure hearts and harbor no doubts or perplexities that evil people and women and creatures that are not human beings can attain Buddhahood in their present form, if you can believe all of that with a pure heart and harbor no doubts or perplexities, because that's the message of the 8th chapter, the Devadatta chapter, right? They will never fall into the hell of or the realm of hungry spirits. They will never fall into hell or the realm of hungry spirits or animals. We will be born in the presence of Buddhas of the 10 directions, and in the place where they are born, they will constantly hear this sutra. They will constantly hear the Daimoku. So once you've made that connection, you can never escape it until you actualize the Buddhahood that's innate within your life. Your karmic path will just constantly parade you in front of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo until you get there. If they are born among human or heavenly beings, they will enjoy exceedingly wonderful delights. And if they are born in the presence of a Buddha, they will be born by transformation from lotus flowers. Okay, that's page 95. That was some serious stuff with lots of stars. I hope you all go back and read page 95 of the Treasure Tower, point 11. And we'll continue then on page 95 at the bottom, point 12, in the next video when we see each other again. Thank you.